Imagine your glamorous, perfectly polished new best friend asks you to watch her child for the afternoon.
It's just a simple favor.
Exactly, a really simple favor. But then, she never comes back.
Poof.
Gone.
Right. And what follows is a multi-million-dollar mystery involving arson, secret twins, and just this deadly game of cat and mouse.
It is such a wild ride.
It really is. Now, while you sit with the tension of that crazy premise, I just want to take a brief, genuine moment to say that I sincerely pray you, your family, and everyone you love are happy, healthy, and doing incredibly well today.
Absolutely.
We all need a fascinating escape from the daily grind, and I really hope this conversation provides exactly that for you. So welcome to the 𝚣𝚊𝚊-channel for today's deep dive.
It is fantastic to be here. And the source material we are unpacking today, this 2018 story, A Simple Favor, it's honestly a masterclass in psychological manipulation.
Oh, completely.
Like, it is not just a mystery about a missing person. It is this intense exploration of the terrifying things people do when they think no one is watching.
Right. And, well, what happens when those dark secrets collide with the modern internet?
That is the perfect way to frame our mission today, because we are not just, tracking a disappearance. We are looking at the architecture of a very dark, very twisted suburban web.
A very messy web.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to analyze how an everyday friendship becomes a literal battleground. Ultimately, we need to figure out who the actual mastermind is in a room full of professional liars.
Which is not easy to do.
No, not at all. To do that, we have to look at the baseline dynamic between our two main characters, because they represent two entirely different ways of, existing in the world.
The contrast is everything here. You have one character who operates as a vault and another who operates as a billboard.
Yes, I love that. On the billboard side, we have Stephanie. She is a widowed single mother who runs this cheerful, hyper-positive YouTube vlog.
Very bubbly.
Super bubbly. She shares simple recipes, parenting hacks, crafts, all that stuff. She lives her life entirely out loud, practically begging for validation from her audience.
But off camera, it's a different story.
Right. Off camera, she is secretly mocked by the other parents at her son's school. They view her as a tryhard. Then, on the vault side, you have Emily.
The exact opposite.
Exactly. Emily is everything Stephanie is not. She is an elegant, high-powered PR executive. She is fiercely private, heavily guarded, and demands absolute perfection.
And their sons go to the same school.
Yeah, which is basically the only reason these two opposing forces ever collide in the first place.
I really want you, the listener, to keep this specific friction in mind as we go. This tension between being watched versus hiding is the underlying mechanism of the entire mystery.
Oh, for sure.
Stephanie uses a camera to construct her identity. Emily, as we will discover, aggressively avoids cameras to protect hers. The way these two women weaponize visibility is just fascinating.
It's wild. So let's dig into how they actually establish this friendship, because frankly, it feels less like a natural bond and more like, a hostage negotiation.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Their first real interaction is a playdate at Emily's ultra-luxurious, intimidatingly modern house. Stephanie is completely starstruck, but Emily immediately starts disorienting her.
With the drinks.
Yes. She pours these incredibly strong, almost lethal martinis in the middle of the afternoon. And hanging right in the living room is a massive, overtly vulgar painting of Emily herself.
Which is quite a choice for a living room.
Definitely. And Emily casually drops the detail that the artist who painted it was completely obsessed with her.
See, that is not just eccentric interior design. That is a calculated dominance display.
You think she was doing it on purpose?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Emily is establishing the rules of engagement here.
Right.
The alcohol lowers Stephanie's inhibitions, while the overt sexuality of the painting and the massive display of wealth, it creates this intimidating, overwhelming environment.
Wow.
Emily is testing Stephanie's boundaries, just seeing how far they can be pushed.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the idea of a test, because I want to push back a little on the popular narrative that Stephanie is just this naive, innocent mommy vlogger who gets manipulated.
Oh, please do.
Because, the martinis start flowing, the conversation gets uncomfortably deep, and Stephanie drops a massive, dark confession of her own.
A huge bombshell.
Yeah. She admits that her husband died in a car crash alongside his half-brother. But the real kicker, Stephanie confesses she was actually sleeping with that half-brother because he looked exactly like her own deceased father.
It's just a lot to unpack.
Right. You do not just casually drop a confession of borderline incest to a casual acquaintance. Is Stephanie actually playing a game here, too? Is she really as innocent as she acts?
That is such a crucial observation.
Yeah.
Whether Stephanie realizes it consciously or not,
Yeah.
she is offering up collateral.
Collateral.
Right.
Friendships like this aren't built on shared interests, you know?
Yeah.
They're built on mutually assured destruction.
Oh, that's dark. It is. By sharing something so deeply taboo, Stephanie is literally handing Emily a weapon. Emily accepts that weapon, and in return, she offers a full sense of intimacy. They are trading dark secrets just to bind themselves together.
Man, that is intense. But that bond doesn't last long, which brings us to the inciting incident, the disappearance.
The vacuum.
Yes, the vacuum. So Emily's husband, Sean, who, by the way, is a former hotshot author of a book called Darkness at Dawn, but is now just this struggling college professor. He's in London caring for his sick parents.
So Emily's alone with her son.
You're right. And Emily tells Stephanie she has a sudden last-minute work trip to Miami and asks her to watch Nikki, a simple favor. And then Emily completely vanishes.
She doesn't just miss a flight either. She ceases to exist. And the psychological vacuum that creates is where things get genuinely unsettling.
Unsettling is the word. Stephanie's reaction is wild to me. She doesn't just call the police and wait patiently. She turns into this amateur sleuth, but she also starts absorbing Emily's life.
So she dives right in.
She really does. She calls Emily's office and discovers there was never a Miami trip. The boss has no idea what she's talking about. So Stephanie sneaks into the empty office.
Just casually breaking and entering.
As you do. And she finds a hidden photograph taped underneath Emily's desk of a woman who looks exactly like Emily. But what's crazier is what Stephanie does at Emily's actual house.
This is where it gets creepy.
Yeah, she starts cooking for Sean. She starts taking care of Nikki as if he's her own. Eventually, she sleeps with Sean, and then she literally moves in. Stephanie is quite literally trying on Emily's life.
We really have to look at the psychology of that.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephanie has spent years cultivating this parasocial relationship with her internet audience, right?
Yeah, playing the perfect mom.
Exactly. Playing the role of the perfect mother online because she feels so empty offline. When Emily disappears, Stephanie sees a physical void that perfectly matches the life she wants.
Wow!
She isn't just investigating Emily, she is aggressively colonizing Emily's life. She upgrades her reality by stepping into the pristine shell that Emily left behind.
Colonizing her life. That is so accurate. But that shell shatters pretty quickly because the police actually find a body.
A body in a lake.
Yeah, Emily is discovered drowned in a lake in Michigan. But here is the massive twist in the autopsy. The coroner's report shows the woman in the lake was a heavy drug user and a severe alcoholic.
Which makes no sense.
0 sense. The Emily we met was a hyper-controlled, perfectionist PR director. She drank martinis, sure, but she was not a heroin addict.
Not even close.
And almost immediately after the body is identified, Sean cashes a $4 million life insurance policy.
Just incredible timing on Sean's part.
Right.
You know, I like to think of this maneuver as identity laundering.
Oh, identity laundering. Tell me more about that.
Well, in the financial world, criminals take dirty money and pass it through a legitimate business to make it look clean. Here, someone has taken a body full of drugs and alcohol and passed it through the pristine, wealthy identity of Emily to cash out $4 million.
Identity laundering. I love that analogy. It's like a really messed up game of musical chairs, but when the music stops, Sean is sitting on $4 million, and Stephanie has a shiny new family.
Very convenient for both of them.
Incredibly convenient, but the narrative completely cracks when Stephanie's son, Nicky, casually mentions that he saw his dead mother standing outside his school.
A literal ghost story. Or, you know, the ultimate failure of the identity laundering process.
Exactly what Stephanie thinks. She realizes she needs to start following the clues she's been ignoring. So she goes back to that vulgar painting in the living room and actually finds a hidden signature folded deep into the canvas.
Which is some great detective work.
Honestly, yes. She tracks down the artist, and he reveals that the woman he painted wasn't even named Emily. Her name was Claudia, and she was this ruthless con artist who drained his entire life savings before disappearing.
So we have a documented pattern now. Emily doesn't just disappear. She sheds identities when they are no longer useful to her.
Exactly. The artist gives Stephanie some of Claudia's old clothes, which gives her a clue that leads to the archives of a defunct summer resort in Michigan called Skowlet Lake.
A classic, creepy summer camp vibe.
Totally. Posing as a wealthy investor, Stephanie sweet-talks her way into the files and finds a photograph from 1996. It's a picture of twins. Their names are Hope and Faith McClandon.
This is the turning point of the entire deep dive.
Yep.
We're no longer dealing with a simple insurance scam. We're dealing with deep generational trauma. When Stephanie tracks down the twins' elderly mother, who is suffering from dementia, we learn the origin story of the vault.
And it is horrifying. The mother reveals that when the twins were 16, they lived under the absolute control of a fanatical, strictly religious, and highly abusive father.
Just a nightmare scenario.
Absolute nightmare. To escape him, the twins burned their own house down with their father locked inside. Then they vanished.
I mean, think about the psychological weight of that. It completely recontextualizes Emily's behavior for us.
It really does.
Emily, who is actually one of these twins, has lived her entire adult life as a fugitive from a murder she committed at age 16. It explains her absolute violent hatred of being photographed.
Because it's a risk.
Exactly. To a fugitive, a photograph isn't a memory. A photograph is forensic evidence. It is a direct tether to a crime scene.
Man, that brings us to one of the most brilliant strategic moves in the whole story. Stephanie realizes she has the ultimate leverage, and she weaponizes the exact thing Emily mocked her for, her YouTube vlog.
Oh, this is such a good move.
It really was. Stephanie films a special travel edition vlog standing near the twins' hometown, heavily implying to her audience that she knows the truth about a decades-old secret.
She's baiting the hook.
Yes, she does this specifically to lure Emily out of the shadows because Stephanie knows Emily is live, and more importantly, she knows Emily is watching the vlog.
It is a phenomenal tactical pivot.
Right.
Like, Emily's entire survival strategy relies on the darkness of the vault.
Right.
So Stephanie drags her into the panopticon, the all-seeing eye of the internet. By broadcasting the secret, Stephanie forces Emily to engage. She uses visibility as a weapon against a woman who is completely allergic to it.
And the trap works beautifully. Emily is forced out of hiding. She ambushes Sean at a restaurant furious.
Understandably so.
Right. She admits she faked her death because they were drowning in extreme financial pressure, largely due to Sean's inadequate salary as a teacher. To assert her dominance, she actually forces Sean at gunpoint to verbally deny that he has any real feelings for Stephanie.
Which leads right into the cemetery meetup between Stephanie and Emily.
Yeah.
This is where the mechanics of the fake death are finally laid out for us.
Yes, the tension in the cemetery scene is just palpable.
Yeah.
Emily finally drops all the fake names. She reveals she is Hope McClandon, but the twist goes even deeper.
Because twins weren't enough.
Not enough at all. She and Faith weren't just twins, they were part of triplets. One of the babies died in the womb. That is why Hope and Faith have those matching fire and heart tattoos on their wrists. It is a memorial for the unborn triplet.
It's a fascinating detail, because it establishes a precedent for a phantom sibling. Someone who exists in spirit, but not in reality, which is exactly what Hope turns Faith into.
Let's break down how she did it. Faith, the twin sister, had become a severe drug addict and an alcoholic.
Which explains the autopsy.
Exactly. After 14 years of total silence, Faith tracked down Hope, who is now living as Emily. Faith threatened to expose the childhood arson unless Hope paid her off.
Pure extortion.
Yep. So Hope agreed to meet Faith at Skowlet Lake. But instead of handing over a bag of cash, Hope intentionally drowned her own twin sister. She used Faith's body to fake her own death, triggering the $4 million insurance payout.
I mean, the sheer calculation required to murder your own twin just to balance your checkbook is staggering.
It's cold-blooded.
Totally. But this is where the source material asks us to evaluate a triangle of liars. We have Emily's version of events, but we also have Sean's version.
Right, they contradict each other.
Emily claims the entire insurance fraud was Sean's master plan, and they were supposed to take the money and flee to Europe. Sean, conversely, tells Stephanie that Emily is a pathological liar, and he had no idea she was faking her death.
Honestly, I have a hard time believing Sean is completely innocent in all this. He cashed that check incredibly fast.
Way too fast.
Yeah. But Emily's reaction to Sean's betrayal is nuclear. She goes home, intentionally batters her own face, and files a fake domestic abuse report to the police to get Sean deported back to England.
She uses the legal system the exact same way she uses people.
Yeah.
As a blunt instrument.
Oh, well said.
When you look at this triangle, Stephanie, Emily, and Sean, who's actually running the con here, every single one of them is manipulating the others to secure their own preferred reality.
Which sets up the climax at Emily's house perfectly. It is an absolute masterpiece of deception. Stephanie walks in, seemingly unhinged. She points a gun at Sean, screams at him for using her as a pawn, and pulls the trigger. She shoots Sean right in the chest, and he goes down.
Now, a lesser manipulator would panic here. But Emily, she barely blinks.
Not even a flinch. Emily calmly looks at Stephanie and says she knows the entire thing is a theatrical sting operation.
She was a step ahead.
Way ahead.
Yeah.
Emily had already swept her own house and found police recording equipment hidden in the room. She knows Stephanie and Sean are working with the cops, wearing wires, trying to trick her into a confession.
Emily believes she is playing chess while they are basically playing checkers. She immediately reveals her triple cross.
And it's ruthless.
Yeah.
Emily smugly explains that she already called the police herself, but she gave them a fake location. She sent the squad cars to the local cafe where all those gossiping school parents hang out.
Just a brilliant diversion.
Right. Then, having outsmarted the sting, Emily pulls out her own gun, shoots Sean in the shoulder for real this time, and turns the weapon on Stephanie. She's fully prepared to wipe the slate clean and just disappear again.
But this is where the entire thematic arc of the story pays off. Emily assumes the only threat is the institutional power of the police. She totally underestimates the power of the panopticon we talked about earlier.
It is the ultimate trump card. Here's where it gets absolutely brilliant. Stephanie looks at the gun pointed at her head and smiles.
The best moment.
She tells Emily she hasn't just been recording audio for a police file. She has been live streaming the entire confrontation to the internet using a hidden camera disguised as a button on her shirt.
Incredible.
Every single admission of murder, every threat broadcast live. The woman who hid from cameras her whole life, destroying any photographic evidence of her existence, is finally undone by a vlogger.
The poetic justice is brilliant. Yeah. Emily spent her life controlling the narrative by controlling her privacy. Stephanie destroys her by removing privacy entirely.
The chaos that follows is so cinematic. The police sirens finally start wailing in the distance. Emily panics, realizes she can't shoot her way out of a live broadcast, and makes a run for it out into the street.
And she immediately gets hit by a car.
Yes. She gets hit by a car. And the driver, it's one of the gossiping school parents.
The final punchline.
It really is. This parent had been watching Stephanie's live stream, saw the confrontation happening, and rushed over to the house to see the drama in person.
It is an absurdly perfect resolution. But if we step back and synthesize the final takeaway from this deep dive, we have to look at who actually wins.
Right. Who comes out on top?
Exactly. Sean is a grifter who ends up shot and disgraced. Emily's an arsonist and a murderer who ends up in prison. Everyone in this ecosystem is deeply flawed and manipulative. But Stephanie is the ultimate victor.
Oh, by a landslide. But how do we even categorize her victory? Is she like a hero for stopping Emily or something else entirely?
I would argue she is an opportunist who successfully monetized chaos.
Monetized chaos, wow.
She didn't just survive Emily's psychological warfare, she commodified it. By injecting herself into someone else's deeply traumatic, violent history, she skyrocketed her YouTube channel to over 1 million subscribers.
That's insane.
She took her biggest haters, those gossiping, mocking parents, and turned them into her most loyal, engaged audience. She took the darkest parts of human nature and just turned them into content.
That is a staggering insight. She didn't defeat Emily with morality. She defeated Emily with metrics. She literally turned attempted murder into a subscriber drive. It really makes you question the nature of the content we consume every day.
Which leaves you, the listener, with a final provocative thought to mull over today. If you met Emily and Stephanie today in real life, who would you actually trust more?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Right. The one who meticulously, violently hides her dark past, or the one who is smiling, friendly, and perfectly willing to broadcast everyone's darkest secrets to the world for 1 million subscribers?
That is a genuinely chilling question. I don't think I would trust either of them to watch my kid for the afternoon, to be honest, but I would absolutely be subscribed to that vlog.
Thank you so much for joining us on this wild deep dive on 𝚣𝚊𝚊-channel.
It's been a pleasure. Before you go about your day, we have a simple favor to ask you. Please hit that like button, make sure you subscribe to the 𝚣𝚊𝚊-channel, and jump into the comments below to let us know. Who do why you think was the most manipulative character in this whole story? Was it Emily, Stephanie, or Sean? We want to share your theories and debate them with you. Stay curious, questioning the narrative,